to bed. Thank you for joining my live today. I was so busy last night working that I had a plan when I went to bed, and I woke up forgetting that plan completely. That happens every single time to me. Can never get anything accomplished if you always wake up forgetting what your plan was the next day. It never seems to amaze me how many times I can forget. As I look everything over, I'm trying to figure out what I need to do here and there. I knew what I had to do last night when I went to bed. I think what we're doing is working in this area here, and we're lightening this building up. Several of these buildings I felt were too light or too dark, and I talked about this at the very beginning of my painting, how when you come in here to these paintings and they're too dark, or have all these things with different highs and lows of color, that sometimes at the end you're just gonna have to work on that part. There we go. At least on this painting. Not every painting. Every painting is different. That's for sure. All right, I just need the right kind of brush in my life right now. And let me just go through my brush pile way back over here to see what I got. It's another really worn out brush. Might as well try it. Let's do it. Yay. Yay, this is good times. Actually, I need to remix my paint again, so I'm just pulling some paint from the dried paint piles of yesterday. And what I'm going to do is we're just going to like kind of dry brush this on, but I guarantee it's not going to look like a dry brush when I put, oh, that's not too bad. We'll try this one. We'll go with this lighter color. Yeah, yesterday I went and got my paint for my Truman project, and it cost me 65 bucks. So as I was working on the Truman project, I said to my husband, I bet I could sell this right now for $500. And then I said, well, wait a minute, before I even say that, let me go do the math and see how much this could be worth if I wanted to get my money out of it. It easily is over $1,000 now. Time, materials, that's it, time and materials. And I haven't even painted it yet, which is gonna have to be the easy. It's the preparation that's the most difficult, I guess, when you're working with situations. Just the logistics of thinking of everything you have to do. You know, that's really a lot of planning of the things that go on. So sometimes I just want to do the project. I don't care if it's A, B, or C, because I've talked about it before. Like, I never finished. I watched my videos later, and I said, you never finished talking about so many things you start talking about. My A, B, C, D of art, construction, everything. Let's just say that the D job is the crappy job. D job is baling wire and duct tape. That's the D job. You know, so there's different degrees of all these, of how I rate things. And I'm going to write it out. I have written out before, but that way I can at least explain it better than just trying to pull it off the top of my mind right now. I've had the ABCD speech so many times to people that you would think I would have it down now, but no, I don't. It's like you're on a little quest, and then you forget. All right, hold on. It's time to take a drink of the giant Wonder Woman tea. All right, put it in there. This morning was hectic. I got my 3-mile walk in, and then I was trying to fit in all of these Grammy musical shows real quick. And I had to do all this paperwork, and still I have to do more paperwork when I get out of here. So it's a busy day today. You know, some parts of me just wants to go randomly get on my motorcycle and ride around. The other part of me really wants to get this painting done so I can start the next painting, which I'm super excited about. The next painting, the giant pizza toast. It's going to be awesome. Drawing can't do good without guidelines. Well, vidya dude. You know what? Guidelines are exactly the perfect thing to do in perspective. Yeah. You just have to keep practicing your perspective. I have a book that will help you. Thank you, Cal. There's a perspective book. Let me go grab that book and I'll show you the name of it and you can look into purchasing that book yourself. Hold on 2 seconds. I gotta go to the art book section. It goes out this door. I have an extensive art library, and which is nice is I actually only think I bought one book out of the whole thing. This is a really great book, Creative Perspective for Artists and Illustrators. This is an older book, and this will really help you because there are so many different types of perspectives. Hello, Antonio. Yeah. So this one, there's more than one type of perspective. I mean, it just goes on and on about it. It's really cool. But what I'm doing, I'm going to tell you, is something totally different. It's is real life perspective is totally different than anything you can learn in a book. Because in real life, people don't build buildings straight. Is the wound in my heart? Oh, you're from Turkey. I'm in Washington State. Right now, I'm in the desert side of the hills. So yeah, that perspective will really help you out. A lot of times with realistic perspective, the problem is buildings aren't actually built perfect. So sometimes you'll have is a building that isn't sitting in the cityscape right, is kind of twisted. And you can see that in the pictures and notice that. When I was working with my picture, what I do is this little technique is oh, hello, Tom. Good. I'm glad you got that. Yeah, put that book in what year did I say that book was, by the way? Because sometimes that helps. I guess. I don't know if it says on here, but yeah, check that out. It's usually a page. Oh, well. Okay, you'll find it. I trust you. And Tom, I wanted to ask you, did you ever get to watch that movie Fortress from Australia? That about the teacher in the classroom and they were kidnapped? I want to know if you've seen that movie because it was really good. It's really good. I'm going to watch that today, I think. So, Art One Fest. Oh, awesome. So, yeah. So, a lot of perspective is really off and change. And as I was doing my picture, I noticed that quite a bit. So, what I would do from my own perspective is I knew that I had a line up right here like this or a line here. So, I would follow those lines in confirmation to get across, because as we're going, things start to splay out and the shadows splay out differently. And that has been very confusing for this painting, I have to say. Last night, I wanted to stay up all night and finish working on this, but I knew that I wouldn't get that far, and I had so many goals in the morning. Well, like I said, I wake up and I forget what my goals are, and then you're like, oh no, isn't that how it usually works, Am I in the right? I wanted to do is add some dry brush lightning in some of these areas, and like I said, it's already built, so I don't really have to worry too much about just putting the color on. It's super easy. And it actually kind of gives you that sunshine effect to it. So you can really start to tell. Much lighter there. And if I don't like that, I can just easily go over it again. Let's put a little bit over here. I feel like I have too much paint on that brush. Whew, I am sweating because I ran. So I did my 3-mile walk. And I was hurrying because I needed to get on here to do my show today. And then I jumped in a shower. So I have just... And I dried my bangs, but I didn't dry the rest of my hair because that would just take me an hour. So I've just been so busy today. Go. Go, go, gadget. Yep. And then yesterday I did go get the paint for the Truman project and some primer. So part of me wants to go out and start working on that today, but I would have to start the stove in the shop or else it'll just be too cold. So, okay, let's see if we come back here. Do, 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 do. I don't speak turkey. Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. So just doing a little bit of this, put a little bit in here. I'm just getting that down. And then I'm just using these plastic pieces for perspective. You know, also for perspective, I don't know if you're still on here, I literally have I have literally gone off of my canvas and made a point off of my canvas, like adding wood structure up to get my perspective point onto a painting before. I have done that. It is the crazy things that we will do for the love of art, right? We'll do those things just to get just what you want. I had these pulp fiction style paintings, which means is they're in the style of the old novels, the old detective style novels, like pulp fiction art. Before the movie, Pulp Fiction is pulp is the paper book, fiction is untrue story, Pulp Fiction. And so I did some paintings and I had to do some really weird perspectives on them. And I remember I just did all kinds of things just to get those perspectives. And I worked forever on those paintings. And nowadays, if I look at them, I laugh because they're not near as good as, you know, but they're still from the past. So that's okay. I can't judge myself too poorly. But at least I can judge myself. So that's it. Ooh. All right. Let me do a couple more little tiny things here, like this little area right there. Just pounce that out. Pounce that out. Okay. Back over here again into this section. Let's go in really close. Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. Well, the fortress one, I think it's early 80s. And I didn't even know if it was Rachel Ward or not. And I'm trying to remember about it. I mean, I got the movie like handed a VCR handed or the tape handed to me in the 80s. And then I watched a movie off of that tape. I don't even know where the tape came from. It's like Ring. It's the beginning of Ring. So yeah, that's the story to it. But yeah, you got to see that movie Fortress. It is super good. I remember that growing up as a kid because you only have VCR. You know, you didn't have a lot of stuff. We didn't even have cable when I was growing up, so we just watched either that or the regular television. So yeah, from 92. Yeah, that's why the thing is when you look up Fortress, you have to like go. You got to know a little bit about it to find it because there are so many other fortresses too. So, whew. Sorry guys, hold on. I guess I shouldn't walk 3 miles right before my show. Jeez. I was listening to the last DJ today on YouTube, and this guy's like, you know, an older gentleman playing techno music in his backyard. It was pretty cool. I wish I got his DJ name, but I put him on my list, so he should pop up again. I like to follow music on YouTube. That is like my jam. My jam. All right. I turn my head every so often and look to see what everybody's talking about. All right. So we are getting this done. I'm just lightening up these buildings. A lot of these buildings are a little too dark, and I anticipated that happening. Sorry, a little bit of Rocky Horror Picture Show got stuck in me there for a moment. Okay, hold on. That is crooked, and it bothers me when stuff is crooked because I can see it with my eyeballs. You're crooked. All right, let's fix that crookedness right there real quick. Hold on. Whew. I got to open the door up or something. Gee whiz. It's like 40 or 50 degrees outside. It's actually pretty nice. If it was sunny at 40 degrees where I'm at right now, I could be outside in a t-shirt. That's how crazy it is over here. 40 degrees, sunny, t-shirt weather. I don't know. I mean, I'm also from Seattle. That's where everybody wears either shorts and a beanie, no matter if it's 90 degrees or not. I mean, I'm the kind of person that wears a sweater and it's 80 degrees out. I could definitely live in a hotter climate. And it gets like 110 here so often. Once I was living here and I got chickenpox, I was in my 20s and it was 100 degrees and I didn't have air conditioning. The worst experience of my life. I just want to tell you that. The worst. All right, what else? Getting chickenpox in your 20s. Now, the thing is, I already had chickenpox, but it wasn't enough. And that was the same with my husband. He already had them as a child, but it wasn't enough. If you don't get a full amount of chickenpox, then you can get it again. Little fact. And now I get shingles, which is awesome. I haven't had them in a long time, so I'm okay there. And then I guess I have to go get a shingles virus. This is the problem, man. I just want to be free and feral and wild, but I have to go get all these like shots and bleh. Vaccination is good, but you would think like shingles, I actually am waiting for that week that I can be sick for a whole week before I get my shingle shot. I just, like, hey, it's gonna snow next week. Might as well get my shingle shot so I can stay inside. Oh no, but I won't be able to go sledding. Okay, well forget that next week. Maybe in the spring, maybe the springtime. Oh no, mini Cadbury eggs are out in the springtime. You don't want to miss out and eat all that wonderful junk food candy. You're right. Maybe we'll wait a little bit down into like summertime. No way, because you want to be outside every day in the summertime. So see, it can be frustrating. All right. I'm getting too ultra focused. That's what happens when I talk and paint at the same time. But that's all right. We're doing good. We're at 17 minutes. We've done well so far. I haven't messed up. I'm worried about messing up talking. That's my deal. Because I go off on these little rants and stuff, and I'm really trying to like pull myself in and stick to the script. I don't have a script or anything, but you know. All right, let's go here and make sure I'm in the zone. I'm gonna go close in, to this zone. See, I've darkened up my shadows. I've worked on this area a little bit more yesterday, and I'm doing is lightening up the buildings more. And I really have to put these straight lines. This is the hardest part of the painting, and it's because it's up higher, so my shoulders get really tired from reaching up like this. So what I've done is I've learned to like move the painting down or change things up, but it is such an awkward place on my easel. And I don't want to turn it upside down and work on it. I don't know why, but I was being stubborn about it, and I talked to myself about it quite a bit, and I still would not just be like, okay, we'll do it. I was not listening to myself. And that happens sometimes. I'll have these arguments. I always say I have a frosty and a plain side, and I feel like a lot of people actually do, but my plain side is but both sides are very logical, but my plain side always knows to do the right thing. And I'm not saying my frosty side does the wrong thing. It's just that my frosty side reacts immediately to the first thought, which is usually pretty sarcastic and humorous. So I have to step back from that and not be like, that immediate reaction. I have to come up with the more like the suited Tammy wearing the suit talk. Does that make sense? All right, I just want to clean up this little edge. Oops. Oopsie doops. I'm not liking some of these paintbrushes because I've worn out them all, and I have to go through and like individually talk to each brush and ask them, it's like a job interview for each paintbrush. Are you going to help me out in this situation? Or are you just going to be another pile up? Tell me, brush. And this makes this look frustrating, I'm sure. But when I'm off camera, I'm like really fast. But when people are watching, this is why I'm doing this, because I really want to practice painting and talking at the same time and being efficient. And that is an issue that I have, and I've had it in the past. Is a lot of times people just want to talk, and so you give them your time, you talk to them, and you stop painting. So, or I start talking too much. There's all these different little reasons. Plus, I'm like super hyper sometimes. So having me like try to focus on painting and then having some interesting person around me talking about stuff is too distracting. And everybody is interesting. Everybody has some information that I can glean off of them. Some insight. I'm sure there's always an insight from everybody out there. But that's more of my robot mindset. Always a joke about the robot mindset. Okay. There we go. Looks good. Looks good. Let's see if everybody else is on there. Nope, we're good. We're good. Go. Nothing being said. We're okay. Yeah, I'm gonna watch that Fortress movie. It is really good. I'm gonna give you some spoilers. It's Fortress movie is, I believe, in Australia, out in the outback. And the classrooms were like for every grade. And there was probably, I want to say 20 kids. I don't know. It's been a while. Like 20 kids. And these masked bandits, they're all wearing different masks, come in and kidnap the kids. They want to kidnap the kids and get money from the kids, for the kids, like a ransom. But like saying, these kids had to walk miles to get to school. I mean, they're out in the middle of the outback. I mean, this tiny schoolhouse. So these guys think they're going to kidnap these kids, and they do. They grab all these kids, they put them in a bus, and they drive them out into a more foresty style area. And they've pre-planned this because they put them in a cave. And, well, you know what? When you get smart people and country kids together, they figure stuff out. And they got out of that cave. And they escaped that cave. And then they got captured again, or they almost got captured again, or something like that. And then they escape. But this time, they make a fortress. They are like, we aren't going to run to find the cops. We're going to make a fortress and fight these guys and protect ourselves. And I'm not going to tell you any more about the movie. I'm not going to tell you more about it. My favorite thing is how they used the oil from their lunches to make lanterns. That was like one of the first things of the movie, like after they've been kidnapped. And so it's not a horror movie, but it is. It's like a special kind of horror movie. There we go. I also watched another. I gotta write down these movies I watch all the time, but then I would have books of writing everywhere, and then that leads to hoarding. My biggest fear as a recycled artist is having too much. In fact, recently I was like, do I feel like I have one too many items? But I don't know which one it is. Okay, I'm gonna push that up. Okay, that way the paint doesn't like come back down on there. It's much nicer. Sweet. Hey, thanks you guys for hanging out. There, that's a lot lighter. Let's get this fuzz. I have to do the fuzz on what I'm calling the fuzz, which is the shadow. I have to do that kind of more last, because I need to get back from the painting and look at my picture and go, yep, I see. In fact, I remember last night. I remember one thing I told myself last night to do. There's this tiny little bit. Where is it? Right here. Hold on, I'm trying to keep it in line. Okay, right here. This is in the sunshine, just to there, just like that. Ouch. That wasn't funny. Okay, let's do this one. right. All right, all right. No, that's horrible. I ruined it all. No, see, it's fine. Okay, that looks just a little bit of sunshine right there. Just a little light coming in. I still have to do all these windows too, so it's quite a bit of work. And let me take a look back at everybody. Yay! Thanks for hanging out. Oh, it's time to have tea. I gotta commit to this whole thing of tea. Well, it's not whole. I only can do half. I gotta commit to the whole thing. Or the rest of it, I mean. I'm supposed to have green tea every day, and I usually do. But I found out it's not the same green tea as I'm supposed to be having. And I've already committed my life to purchasing a lifetime supply of this specific green tea. So, you know. All right, put that there. Okay, get back to there. So this year I am planning a motor. I hopefully this year, if not this year, is next. But I want to go on the longest gravel road in my state, Washington State, and it does link up to some cities you have to drive through, but they're not main big cities, so they're okay. Because I don't really like to ride my motorcycle around people. I'm a dirt bike rider. I do have my endorsement. However, I have almost been hit many times, and it has made me not want to ride my bike. Plus, I'm not riding a big, like, touring bike either. I'm usually ride enduros or sport bikes, so it's not like I'm riding a large bike. That takes up a lot of space, visual space, so people see. When you're riding a smaller bike, it's harder for people to see you. My thing is, I like a bike that I can pick up. If I can pick up the bike, it's good. If I can't pick up the bike, then I can't do it because I have this back injury and I can't pick things up, or it dislocates my spine and then I can't walk, which is always fun. But it isn't going to stop me. It just deters me for a short time. All right, I just want to put some of these darker. Now, technically, I should only have the darkest lines in the shadow and the lightest lines in the sunshine. I shouldn't have any dark lines in the sunshine, but I don't really care at this point. I like what I'm doing, what's happening here, and it's coming along well. All right, oh, it's all right. Bike riders, definitely. Bike riders and pedestrians are almost invisible to drivers. Very true, especially if you live in a town that's not biker friendly, which is this town. It is full of more of the older generation of people, and it's not a biker community at here at all. I don't really know if the old biker communities, see, I think like Gold Bar used to be a biker community here in Washington State for many years. That's one of those little towns you can go to. It's a great little town. But I think there's a totally different biker population now than when I was a kid. Totally different group of people, different bikes, all of that. All right, I'm just taking a look at that. There we go. But up in the mountains, I only am responsible for myself if I get hurt, so it's on me. Which is usually how it works. You get hurt in the mountains and you're good to go. All right, see, that is not right. Okay, this needs to come over a hair this way, a hair this way. See, I've already set up these, so when I come back to them and see that they're off and they're not straight, it makes me think, well, what the heck happened here? I've talked about those painting cobblers coming out at night and doing my work for me. I wonder if they've just decided to mess up that section. They maybe not have finished it last night or something. I'm going to say that. And here we go. Let's take a look at this. Need some lighter colors there. I agree. Just realized it's tax season, you guys. I have to do taxes. I always thought I was going to grow up and be a bookkeeper because, you know, my mom was a bookkeeper, my grandma was a bookkeeper, my sister did bookkeeping, and so, and plus I love math. But I didn't. I became an artist. I wanted to be a truck driver too, and semi truck driver, but I did get my CDL actually, so I, in a sense, did accomplish that goal. And another goal I had, which I decided not to complete this goal, was to get my helicopter license. I am not rich enough to get a helicopter license. Not that I think that. It's just honestly, why get your helicopter license if you can't afford a helicopter? And or a helicopter rental spot, or no, I don't know what helicopter fees are, but I figured it's okay if I didn't get that one thing. Plus, I have developed a kind of a tiny fear of falling, so I think that maybe I will pass on that goal and take that one off my bucket list. But yeah, pilot. One of my older friends that was a pilot for just airplanes. He mocks the helicopters. They're no good. They're not safe. Don't even bother. All right, let's push that up. There we go. Oh, let's see. How long have I been painting? I have been professionally painting since I was 25, and I'm 50 now, so for 25 years. But I think as a child I painted too. But oil painting, it definitely. I actually, my parents bought me classes with a professional oil painter, and ended up becoming really good friends. And she was my mentor and taught me how to paint, and yeah. And I'd say is like and she was taught by another person, so not I don't have professional schooling when it comes to painting. So there's a lot of things I don't that you get at school that you probably learn that I did not pick up. All right, let's see here. Oh, I need to get that stick out. I'm starting to the point where my painting is really good, but I gotta get a stick for balance so I can just kind of not lean onto my painting. And see how much it moves already? It's pretty loose, so I need to tighten that up. Yeah, but I haven't been creating all my life. Before I started oil painting, I was doing woodworking and other crafts, more of the crafting instead of as much as the art. I lived out in the country. I got married when I was really young. We lived out in the country for many years, and I made um, arts and crafts style things. So little woodworking things, a little American flag signs, just a young teenager making things. And quilts, I used to do quilting, a lot of sewing. And then we moved back to my hometown where I was from. And it's right by Seattle, so it pretty much it's Seattle, you know. And so I was like 30 minutes from Seattle or something. And I just got into doing art. I just started seeing things differently. For something clicked in my head when I moved back home, and it just opened up my world to the arts. And I started making recycled art, and people love my recycled art. It was, I was selling it all the time, and it was funding my oil painting. So I was able to buy my oil painting supplies by selling my recycled art pieces. And because my art classes were in a independent art store, pretty much met every single artist in the area famous artists that lived in the area, all kinds of artists. Just met everybody. And it was a nice art community there, it really was. And so that's pretty much how I really started. And I just like thinking out of the box. And my goal is to be able to make whatever I feel like making. So sometimes I have to learn skills for that. And yeah, and. All right. No, this is not a commission. This is just a part of my New York City series paintings. I don't do commissions anymore. A lot of times people would want a commission for me. And the thing is that because I don't always do things the same, what they would expect and what I would give them were two different things. So it was became disappointing to me, and it became disappointing to them, and I decided I just can't deal with that anymore. And I think a lot of artists go through that. Commission, yes or no. Sometimes I do commissions like at the museum. There's this old guy, and he was all sad because he accidentally threw away this painting his mother gave him. And he's just been holding on to the picture for years and years and years. And he asked me if I would recreate it for him. And I said, no, man, I don't do that. I don't do that. And plus, it was Santa Claus. That's the one thing I don't ever want to paint, right? That was like I have a list of things I don't ever want to paint, and that was one of them. And the poor dude was so cool that I went ahead and I did it for him anyway, and he was happy. He was happy with it. But, you know, I mean, that was just out of the kindness of my heart. But reality is I just don't want to do commissions. There we go. Yeah, because then I don't know what it's not the same. It's when you have to when I make it for myself, it can be imperfect, and I can be so happy with the imperfection, because to me imperfection is true perfection. There's anything perfect is not worth it, but if it's imperfect, it's awesome, you know. So you can see how that mentality is probably odd. But yeah. But I think that's what makes me an artist, is I do think differently. I ask myself questions all the time. Like, have you ever heard a plant cry and scream? I have. See, how odd is that? It is. All right. Oh, see, now I've already broken this one now too. I could go cut that smaller, I guess. I might do that. Oh, get that in a seam. I already broke that too. So you can see these start to wear out pretty soon. I know I've been talking about lifespan on every show. I try to pull out the lifespan issue about how long everything lasts, but I'll show you one of my favorite brushes. Look at that. It did not look like, I mean, it's barely hanging on, my friends. It's barely hanging there, so. All right. Yeah, my toast painting. The next painting I'm doing is going to be a piece of toast. And I feel like someone has already done a piece of toast, but have they done a piece of toast cut to look like a race car, like eaten away to look like a race car? Because that is what I'm going to be doing. So I'm excited about that. It's something that's more representative of when I was a child, and I think it's a great example of imagination. I think that'll be really cool. All right, let's go through this. See, I feel like I'm just talking and not really just doing little this and that and there. Probably not as much as I should be doing. Not as much as I should be doing. Yeah, I love to do perspective work more when I was younger, definitely. That's why that book is really helpful. But I was always practicing all these crazy perspectives and stuff when I was younger, and I don't know what it is. As I gotten older, I haven't needed it as much, or their perspectives are different, or my perspective is different. That's what it is. My perspective has changed. I love that. I love it to see growth and change. Come on there, go like that. Whoa, 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 whoa. see, I'm just making sure my lines are straight all the way up and down. This has been a little bit of battle because, like I said, not everything is exact, so you have to kind of make it work or fix it as you go. And I did a lot of these fixing already. I cleaned up these lines a lot already. All right, we're at 40 minutes. Wow, we're doing great. Good job. Good job, you guys, for hanging in there. Appreciate it. I'm sure this can be totally exciting, right? Totally exciting. All right, come back. It's good to change your scenes every so often. Like every 2 seconds, whenever I watch movies, I always count scene changes, and it's like one every 2 seconds. Sometimes there's longer scenes, and then they go from person to person, and you notice all these things because like I make movies too. So I thought, well, that would be cool to pay attention to these things and use those ideas. And so that's why I always pay attention, like scene change, 2 seconds, 2 seconds. You know, I try all these little things, but I don't know if it makes a difference in what I'm doing. It's time for me to go back and watch all the old movies I made and then see, did they make sense? Because, you know, sometimes you forget, you leave out important information or something. But I want to say my Flatland movie is probably one of my favorites that I did. So the first movie I created, Drover Drop, I made this Western town, and I'm sharing those videos right now of all the pieces I made for that Western town. And I made this like 2018, and it's because I really want a real miniature Western town. Like I really want that on my property that I can go into. I know that years ago there was a little person in Hollywood, and this is like in the late 80s. He built an entire mini town, and I was like, oh my gosh, you know, that'd be so awesome. My favorite movie of the last 5 years, I'm not going to say the last 5 years, but one of my favorite movies is Ultra. And I'll tell you about it real quick, okay? I love movies. I like watch 4 or 5 movies a day while I work. Ultra is I believe it's a foreign movie. There's very little speaking in it. You know, that's okay. You don't need to. And it's these two neighbors, and they hate each other. And an accident brings them together. They both end up in wheelchairs, and one of them is a motorcycle rider. By the way, because I ride motorcycles, is partly cool. So the wife leaves him, or I don't know. So he's in a wheelchair, and he wants to go. We'll see, there's no talking, so you just watch the movie as you go. So he's in a wheelchair, and his neighbor is in a wheelchair. And next thing you know, he's going down the road in his wheelchair, and his neighbor is following him in his wheelchair. It seems like they want to both go to the tractor company that caused the accident that made them go in wheelchairs and talk to them. I think that's what the adventures that happen are great. Okay, now this one guy, he's like in almost like a full body cast, and he's in a wheelchair, and he stops at a motorcycle event that he usually rides in, and he talks them into putting him on a motorcycle so he can just ride it. I mean, he is in a full body cast. They find him hours later in a ditch. Okay, I don't want to give you the spoiler to the end, but their adventure is grand. They go to the tractor company to complain, but the tractor's company is called Valtra, and I told you the name of the movie is Ultra, and I'm not going to tell you anymore. See, you have to watch the movie yourself. But to me, that is like an ultimate movie right there. It is so good. I mean, I just want to say that the motorcycle scene where he is in the ditch was hilarious. I don't know. I watch so many good movies, but that is the one that sticks out. When I was younger, I really liked, you know, like a lot of people did, the Pulp Fictions and the Natural Born Killers and all those fun movies. But now I really just like the humor and stuff. I really go for that. Ultra. Oh yeah, I gotta watch that movie again too. Just some place in your heart, you know, it just hits just right. Another thing I really wanted to do is all these top edges of all these buildings here, I wanted to put white in because everything needs a little bit more lightening up. And so just these little tiny little effects will help. And it's just pretty much go through. Last night I did some work around these windows too. They look, or these buildings, they look okay. I don't know if maybe I should add some elements. I also noticed that one of these was crooked. One of these was off. Like it needed to come up higher. Hold on. That needed to come up higher. Hold on, hold on. Be patient. It's happening. Oh, which one was I working on? Oh, okay, right here. Okay, and then what? Hold on. I'm sure it'll come together. Okay, that looks a little bit more right. Yeah, it's just a little bigger, that's all. Okay. We'll just keep working on that. There we go. And then that one would come up just a hair with a tiny bit across the top right there. Just a, there we go. Yay. Okay, that's good. That's good. All right. And what else? What else? Up in this zone, up in this zone. Get that going. All right, we have 46 minutes. Yeah, I'm trying to go for the full hour because actually my goal is to get into the next step of YouTube. I will be on here 19 years this year. 19 years in September. And the weird thing is, yesterday I opened up my app and it said today was your 18th year anniversary. And I was like, that's not true. I was like, maybe it's from my older channel because I have another channel that I don't ever put anything on, but I use that for, I think it was just that's how it was at YouTube was when it began. I had that channel first and then I opened up my boxyqueens. And the other channel I watch ghost videos on so it doesn't mess up my regular algorithm because I want to believe, but I have fun. That's what's important. And when it's not fun anymore, then I don't watch it anymore. Then I watch something else. I love to watch abandoned house videos, but the ghost videos in the morning, I like to watch those. Those are fun. Slapped Ham and Nuke's Top 5. Those are my jams right there. Pew! You know, pew! I always like, that's not a ghost. I know that's not a ghost. I'm always like, there's a word, I cannot remember the word for when you're, it's not a ghost, it's this or that. So, there. I just told you guys my secrets about ghosts. Woo! Now everything's a ghost nowadays. Something falls on the ground, it's a ghost. I think I find more humor with it than anything. In fact, now ghosts aren't even ghosts, you know, they're like, oh, that's not that type of ghost, that's this type of ghost. They're named for different types of ghosts now. I think everybody has a ghost story. But then sometimes you look at things, you just wonder, was it a ghost? Or was it indigestion? Sorry. All right. And right there, it looks good. All right, you can start to see that there's a point when you put paint on where you finally have everything covered, and then after that, it's so easy. It's like, oh, well, now it's all covered. I can just easily change the color. I don't have to try to get it in perfect anymore. It's just right. Oh, some other YouTubers I watch Itchy Boots, because she rides her motorcycle across the world. Right now she's in China. She just left Kyrgyzstan. Sorry, I didn't say that right. Kyrgyzstan. Because there's another Kyrgyzstan a little different than that one. I just don't know if I pronounced it right. And then I also like to watch Heavy D because he always has interesting vehicles. Definitely. Is the painting mostly done? That is a really good question. In fact, since we have a few minutes left, I'm going to pull back and we'll talk about it. My painting is in the final stages of being done. So what it is I had been building this entire time, like getting lines straight and perfect and getting the windows put in. And a lot of this down below, it looks really good. Let's get that light on there. Boy, it seems dark. I think it's just that angle that we're at. With the white behind it there of the sky. So I did a lot of building on here, a lot of little things like this whole section still needs to be finished. The windows are kind of set in, but they're just not quite right. Let's go now. I'll give you an example really quick. You can see, there we go. See, they're not quite right yet. They're just really close. But once I go through that, those will be done. So this, in a sense, is the final cleanup and just getting the back and forth of the colors. Like we really need to get these lighter up here. That is going to look way better against that shadow. And then I have to fuzz out that shadow more so it doesn't look so crisp and clean. Because here we go. You see the difference a little bit there. Hold on. Moving out like that. So you can see where I got to and how and what I've got to go through. So there's this building over here is too dark. So I'm going to bring that up. But most everything else is pretty good inside. There is some lighter spots. Like this is really too light for the area, but it's a magical place, so how can I deny it? So, you know, things like that. So there's a lot of little things. This is the stack of VCRs. I'm going to call those done. Last night I put these white ghost windows in. They look pretty good and cleaned them up along here. I still have to do a little bit more work around here. Not much, just cleaning up as I go. So a lot of these things are just cleaning up, getting it right. And then I have to figure out what to put into these 3 spots right here. I wanted to put something unique and different, and I couldn't quite think of anything. I don't want, you know, first hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil popped in my mind, and I was like, well, how are you going to represent that there? And I was like, well, yeah, I don't want to draw anything in there, I guess. So maybe something else, maybe some sort of symbolism, some sort of random symbolism I can put in there. Maybe I'll look up since I was talking about homeless, have symbols here that they'll put like, back in the day, this is more of a thing in America, but they'd have like little symbols if it was safe to sleep in an area, if the people around were not friendly, if there was food close by, if there were services close by. There was these symbols that a lot of the homeless, they're not homeless really, that was traveling transient workers. So you have hobo means one thing. You know, these words actually have totally different meanings than what we just say randomly as ourselves, but they do have the meanings upon themselves. So yeah. Random. Pardon me. So I'll work on this today. I might stay up tonight. I might make this a full, like, get in there. Like last night, I was going to stay up till I wanted to stay up till 4 or 5 and work on this. But I have to live life in the daytime. You know, that's a tough situation when it's easier. For years, I worked at night. I worked from 8 at night to 4 in the morning because everybody else is asleep. And it seems like it was the best time for me to work. And it's the best time I didn't have anything to go and do. I didn't have any like chores I had to do at that time. So for me, it was really, I could just invest all my time in creating. But you can't go out and live in the world if you're asleep all day long. So that didn't really work for me. So I've kind of really altered everything around. I'd like to get up a little bit earlier, but I still have an issue of painting earlier in the day because I could be interrupted, and it's very difficult when you're
get into something and then you get interrupted and pulled away from the project. And that is my first, I want to say the first 20 years of my art experience. Now it's been a lot easier that I'm an empty nester, but when the kids were younger, just finding an inch just to create something. Just give me 5 minutes, please. But now I can make whatever and have that time. And would I trade it in a heartbeat to go back then and live that life over again? I would. I would definitely. I would definitely give up this to go back in time and have all those young kids around again, right? It's always fun. When you're young, you're just constantly hustling. It's hustling. You have to do these things. You gotta create, make, and you're everything. It's like you don't have a couch. You gotta get a couch. You don't have a bed. All these things that you have to constantly compete for. But as you get older, things change. You don't need them as much. Life changes. Everything changes. But the more it changes, the more it stays the same. That's the philosophy there. What I see here in this line, and it's really been bothering me, is how small that last that last window is. Let's hold on a second here. Let's take a look. Yeah, there's something wrong there. Something's not right with this. All right, there we go. Just fixing little things at a time. So yeah, thanks you guys. I got 4 more minutes. Is there any questions anybody has? Do you want to take a tour of the painting really quick? Let's do it. Let's tour the painting. We'll flip the screen and we'll come over and we'll go like this. Oops. Guess I can't pull back. All right, I've got my sleeve of saltine crackers, my salt and pepper shakers, some random design there. I've just got a little pipe out there, the Liberty stamp on the side. I've got half of a little cigarette there, my tic-tac-toe game I played. And then we'll come over to where are we? The swimming pool. And then just a random. And then I've got an envelope there. And then I got an envelope there with that wax mark on it, the wax press thing. What do you call those? A seal, a wax seal. I have to clean this building up. This still needs a lot more work here. But I did put some white on it last night, clean that section up, and I need to lighten everything in this section. I need to lighten this again. I've already lightened it twice, but I'm not happy with it. I need to go through and straighten up these white lines here. I like everything up here. I was going to make that into a little puppet house, but I don't know if I will. And I really want to think about lightening this building up more because it's right next to the shadow building. So I may need that more lightened up in there. I've got the owl mural and then some graffiti. I need my little finger pointer. It's not here with me right now. I've got coming down to, I got to do more on this little desk here. I forgot about that little side table. And then I've got the words love and good, flux and city. And then there's that little creature guy in all the windows. You can see him, his head and his nose and his mouth is all that. And then a lot of these buildings just are just like weird. They just like drop down like that with the ladder I put there. And then some little pipes. And then this is the UFO base right there. UFO on the top. And then this is the sidewalk that looks like it comes across the street onto the other building into steps. And then I just put New York City there. I've got that building there. And then this is the mug root beer with the hot dog shadow and my name. I'll come back at the very end and do this last. I felt like it looked like the word different there when I was painting. I've got a little face there. Just some randomness. You can see some randomness across. This is like a giant fork. I don't know if you see that. Some piled boxes, more randomness. And then we got to come up to the next. Okay, we got the U-Van coffee. Then we're going over to the book. So we got the book with the Illuminati triangle there. And then we've got the building inside of the building. And then the windows on top. I love my dog Lady. The cereal box. And, let's see. Back up here. What did I come across? I got a little happy face. I put this in last night. Well, there's a toaster, but I might make this into more of a log look. I don't know. Maybe I'll just keep it that as is. I don't know. And then we go over, I've got my words in. This is supposed to be dark side of the moon, but as I was doing this, it looked like it said of USA, so I thought that worked perfectly. RCA right there, and then come down to the ghost windows. I stopped here last night. I was working on this area, cleaning this up, and so I'll get into here. You can see how this paint's gray kind of has, it needs to have another layer of paint on there because it looks, to me, it looks odd. You can see the dots of the canvas. I don't like that. Not for this painting, at least. And then we say we have, oh, we did the book, this stack of VCRs, and then how this is inverted in here like this, and then out, and then the little pathway. Oh, and this is supposed to be my old desktop computer, but it is whatever. This little pot right there, the Swiss cheese, the stack of VCRs. I said the swimming pool, right? And then G, and there's an apple. Get my finger out of there. Okay. And then the basket weave building, and then the AA batteries with the on and off switch, and then the cooking stove. Yeah. Did I get everything? I feel like it did. I feel like I could have put tons more things in here, actually. I thought about like all kinds of stuff, but I said, you know what? We're just doing what we can to a point, and then we're stopping. So that's fine. I do need to fix these lines. I did notice that. See, I wanted these black lines to go in row, but I see that's out. There's nothing there, so yeah, that's it. That's the building. Thanks you guys for watching. I hope you have a great day. Bye.